You wrote a letter to your dad from prison.
You know, even if we would have found out the things you're doing, yes, we would have been upset, but you would still, if you would have talked to us about it, at least your mom and brothers would still be here.
Father in the hospital. The victims were found in a burning house near Emory, 60 miles east of Dallas.
I was just going with what he was telling me. He was feeding me all of these lies. I got caught up in him, and I feel so guilty. You're talking about Charlie there, right? What lies was he feeding you?
That if I just kill my parents, everything will be okay.
I can't picture you as somebody that would want her family annihilated. It doesn't make any sense to me that you would want that to happen.
There was times I wanted to go back there and grab her and just shake her. Why?
County area, no one here can remember a tragedy of this magnitude or a crime this horrific.
There he was, lying in a hospital bed, barely conscious, his body torn apart by bullets. The pain, nothing short of unbearable, but it's not what broke him. What did was the question circling his mind ever since the brutal attack. Where was his daughter? Was she okay? No one would answer him. Not the doctors, not the nurses. The police came to speak to him, but before he even finished asking, he already sensed something was terribly wrong. When they finally spoke, the weight of the truth didn't just knock the wind out of him, it ripped it away completely. His daughter wasn't a victim. She was, in fact, the reason everyone else in his family was now dead. Just days earlier, Terry Caffey had watched his family, his entire world, be annihilated. His wife Penny, his sons, Matthew and Tyler, gone, slaughtered in their own home. He himself had been shot 5 times and left for dead in a burning house. And now this. His daughter Erin, the girl who once sang in church choirs, the child he used to cradle in his arms, wasn't a victim. She was the architect of her own family's doom.
You realise this was not a game.
Right.
Your dad had nearly died, and everybody else was dead. This was real.
It's all about choices, and the choices I made at a young age. Didn't think that it would affect, I just thought it was just affecting me and the little stuff that I was doing, but the little stuff adds up, and then it just, blows up, and we don't think about choices.
It was a quiet night in rural Texas. The family was asleep. Terry and Penny lay in bed, their sons upstairs, Erin tucked away in her room. Nothing unusual. Then a sound. A door slammed open, too forcefully to be the wind. A figure moved through the dark. Gunfire erupted. Bam, bam, bam. Terry woke to the sound of bullets tearing through walls, through flesh. He tried to reach for Penny, but before he could react, pain crashed into him. He'd been hit. He didn't know how many times. He just knew he couldn't move. He heard Matthew's voice, clear, terrified. Charlie, Charlie, why are you doing this? No, Charlie. Then silence. More gunshots. Terry tried to stand up, but he couldn't feel his legs. All he could think about is getting to the kids. But flames had swallowed the stairs. The fire was alive, growing, laughing at his misery. His home was turning to ash, and he couldn't get through it. Then he saw her, his wife Penny. Still, her body awfully mutilated with a sword. A samurai sword, not just shot. She was stabbed, nearly beheaded. The pain was unbearable, but Terry's mind clawed its way through it. You have to live. You have to tell someone who did this, don't die here. And somehow through fire and pain he stumbled out, made it to a neighbor, and collapsed. The killers were caught quickly. Charlie Wilkinson, Erin's boyfriend, just 18, his friend Charles Wade, and Wade's girlfriend Bobby Johnson. All teenagers, all eerily smiling in their mugshots. They did it, yes, but they didn't act alone. Erin had allegedly whispered in their ears. She had drawn the blueprint. When asked why, the motive was as senseless as it was chilling. Erin's parents had forbidden her from seeing Charlie. That was it. That was the trigger. In response, she decided her family had to die.
One thing is that when Erin began to date Charlie, I noticed Erin began to change. Before this happened, Erin was a very happy young lady. We knew we had to do something. It was time to have this sit-down talk. There was no more denying this or thinking there's not a problem or allowing Erin to resolve this issue because it wasn't being resolved because it's ongoing.
I was shocked, angry, hurt.
You loved him?
Yeah.
Like properly loved him?
I don't know if at 16 I knew what proper love was, but at the time, oh yeah, I was in love. This was a guy I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with, and he loved me.
She convinced Charlie. Charlie brought Charles. Charles brought Bobby. And the four of them planned an execution. Penny was the first. Shot, then stabbed. Matthew, just 13, pleaded for his life before a bullet ended it. Tyler, only 8, stabbed over and over with the same sword. Terry himself, 5 bullets, yet somehow alive. And when the house was set on fire, the flames were meant to finish off what the bullets hadn't. But they didn't.
Well, I ask you a question. You shot her dad, right?
Yeah.
Did you shoot them kids?
No.
I told him I could see you shooting her dad because you're a hothead, but I couldn't see you shooting them 2 little kids. That don't make no sense.
Erin disappeared. For a few hours, she was just missing. Whispers suggested at the time she'd been kidnapped, or perhaps she was just an innocent, frightened victim. But the police weren't buying it. They searched Charlie's trailer. Inside, chaos, junk everywhere, the smell of sweat and stale smoke. And something strange, a blonde wig. Deputy Fisher moved to clear it, then froze. It was not a wig. It was an actual human head. Erin's head. She had been hiding there all along. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, and most importantly, she didn't deny. Terry learned the truth, not through headlines, not through whispers, not through carefully chosen words typed out on some emotionless page. No, Terry heard it directly, raw and undiluted. He was standing right there, watching every flicker of expression on the deputy's face. The truth wasn't softened. It was not something he could skim or set aside. It landed like a blow. His daughter. His very own daughter. She didn't just wish them harm. She orchestrated every step, every moment of fear, every close call. It was her doing, her plan. And it worked. Almost. Years then passed. Terry walked with a limp. Scars crisscrossed his body. But he lived, not just in the biological sense. He found a way to keep moving. He visits Erin in prison, trying to understand what went wrong. He even forgave her actions, which, some say, is strength. Others say it's delusion. But either way, for Terry, it was survival. Erin is currently serving 2 life sentences. She won't be eligible for parole for decades. She's 24 now, locked away. Still soft-spoken. Still capable of looking you in the eye and making you wonder what she's thinking. The home is long gone, though. Nothing remains of the Caffey house but an empty patch of land in the forest. The silence there isn't peaceful. It's heavy. Haunted. You don't forget something like this. Not when a family is murdered in their sleep. Not when a girl, barely 16, becomes a monster in the night. And especially not when the only survivor has to live every single day knowing that the hands which held the gun, the hands that held the sword, were only doing what his own daughter instructed them to do. What measures can a father put in place to protect him and his entire family from his very own teenage daughter? How does one anticipate a massacre from a family member living in the same household? The human mind is indeed inexplicable. And a recent interview of Erin in prison still shows her to be cold, incapable of accountability, and somehow still trying to justify and rationalize her actions. Even more inexplicable is her dad's continuous resolve to keep Erin in his life. Perhaps he sees her as the last surviving embers of the family he lost. Perhaps he sees glimpses of his dead wife in her face. Perhaps he is hanging on to the sadness in hopes of someday completely healing. For as the famous quote states, "What is grief, if not love persevering?" Our condolences go to Terry and the entire Caffey family. If you are ever feeling overwhelmed and require mental health assistance, please call a professional and reach out to a loved one. Thank you for watching, and please share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, see you next time.